Hello guys and welcome back to Cup of Tea. It is Riel here. Hope you are all doing well. Today I'm so grateful and so honored to be joined by the amazing life coach that is Pin Cher, all the way from Hong Kong. Amazing. How are you, Pin Cher?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. You know, try as much as we can. We're trying, just taking it day by day at this stage.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm really honored to have you on Cup of Tea. And thank you for all the discussions that we had previously. I know it's taken a while for us to get to this point, but we're here now, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Um,
That what counts, yeah.
that's what's count. Yeah, exactly. Pincher, before we get into the topics of today and the discussion, I just want to hand it over to you for a second, just to
Mhm.
introduce yourself a little bit, talk a little bit about, I've introduced you as a life coach. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how
Yeah.
you came to become a life coach and why life coaching.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Ria. Yeah, so I introduced myself first. So yeah, my name is Pin Cher. I was born and raised in Germany by Hong Kong Chinese parents. But since 10 years, I've been living in this wonderful city called Hong Kong. And um, and the reason why I got into life coaching was actually back in 2015 while I was traveling around Southeast Asia, basically to 5 different countries for a month with my backpack. And at that time, I felt so connected with myself because I was exposed in nature, magical places such as temples, meeting people from all walks, meeting people basically from all walks of life. And I just saw and knew there's another way of living. And at that time, I kind of experienced a little bit of a spiritual awakening in a way that all of a sudden the values that I had before, such as, oh, you need to work, you need to climb up the corporate ladder in order to be successful and to be happy. All of a sudden, while I was traveling around Southeast Asia, it became not so important to me anymore. So at that time, I was re-evaluating my values, my interests, myself, and I wanted to connect to myself and with my own values. And that's the reason how I came into life coaching, because I feel there are a lot of people out there who are not living according to their purpose, not living according to their passion. And I wanted to help and guide them to basically unlock their potential as well, to have a more fulfilling and happy life and the life that they deserve.
Wow. Wow. I was just getting lost in everything you were saying. That is amazing. That is amazing. Pincher, you know that whole thing, like people say, I went traveling for, this many years or whatever, and they say I found myself, how much does that resonate with
Yeah,
your traveling experience, Would you say you found yourself,
yeah,
or would you put it in a different way? Or
yeah, yeah. I actually did find myself. So everything started back in 2015, but I would say it I really found myself in 2019 when I experienced a hard breakup. And and at that time I was also in the phase of, oh, I don't like my corporate job, I don't like my 9 to 5 job, I don't like my cubicle. And I thought to myself, there's something more to life than just a job from 9 to 5 and doing something that you don't really enjoy. So I was working in the how to call it, in the testing industry. I was working in a laboratory, and
mm,
I just, for me it was meaningless, but for other people it might be meaningful, but it wasn't according to my values. So both of that happened. First one was the breakup, and then the other one was I wasn't fulfilling my job, and I started to travel again to Vietnam for about 2 weeks, and where I wanted to have Zen and solitude time in nature. I traveled alone again, and I I reevaluated my life,
mm,
my values again. Like, what do I actually want?
mm,
Because I felt a little bit of a loss of identity there, especially after a breakup, when you're with someone for almost a year, spend your life together almost every day, and then all of a sudden that person is not part of your life anymore. So you kind of lose yourself in a way. And yeah, during my travel, I would say I kind of got my shit together again. I and I kind of, I would say I found myself again. So I think the travel really allowed me to get centered again.
Mm. To realign yourself back to,
To
yeah,
exactly, to
yeah.
realign myself.
Oh man,
So
yeah. It sounds like you
I
really
encourage
needed it.
everyone to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
When the borders are open again, of
Yeah.
course.
Not right now, not right now. Well, Pincher, let's dive into this a little bit. You know, I know we spoke before. We kind of spoke about this idea of change, you know, which, and that is a very vague and general term to use right now. Because there's so many
Yeah,
different changes in all walks of life. You know, people's housing situation is changing, for their financial situation is changing, their
yeah,
jobs, you know, their relationships, their friends. Everything is changing. Everyone's
yeah,
got different a different walk of life, and everything is so is out of routine. And I think that's the main thing, you know, especially with the lockdown.
yeah,
You see a lot of
yeah,
people coming out of the routine that they have, you know, with whether they have certain amount of exercise every day, or going to the gym, or meeting friends, or you know, meeting in a
mm,
bar and just relaxing with their friends to treat themselves after a week long of work. You know, there's a lot of change
yeah,
going on, and or seeing family
yeah,
members, you know, and letting that be almost therapeutic, you know, like, and
yeah,
a lot of people, you know, for example, if you live by yourself or whatever it is,
mm,
they're completely taken out of that routine. Um,
yeah,
and it
agree.
and really, there's, you know, of course there's no say in the matter. You know, it's like, this is what it is. You know, this isn't a lifestyle choice. This is just something that's
Yeah,
happened. And I think what we're
yeah,
seeing actually is a lot of people, everyone has issues, you know, with certain issues in their life, with their psychology, and what they face in their life and their mental health on different levels, of course. But I think what we're seeing, Pincher, is since the lockdown last March, a lot of people are experiencing mental health challenges and
yeah,
strains in
yeah,
perhaps a way they haven't encountered before, and maybe they don't exactly know why that's occurring, or how that's occurring. Like, what is going on in my mind? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel these new feelings of maybe anxiety or depression? And I'm feeling this for the first time, you know, because it is the first
yeah,
time the world has experienced anything like this. So it's only natural that you experience these
yeah,
new emotions, these new feelings to your mind and body.
yeah,
And it really is just new to everyone. And so these new feelings are I guess expected in a way, you know, but they're not always welcome, you know. So
mm,
what,
mm,
what's your take on that? You know, what kind of effect do you think that can have on someone's psychology, you know, their mindset?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, first of all, I think when people have worries or anxiety, I think it's perfectly normal to have that during that time because it's something new. Uh, yeah, so people haven't experienced that to that degree in, I think, never. Maybe in Hong Kong during the SARS in 1997, but when we look at the world, I think no one really has experienced that kind of pandemic where you're on a lockdown for several months. You can't really meet your friends or family members. For example, I haven't seen my family after um, for 1.5 years. So I think yeah, it definitely have a big impact on people's emotions, on people's psychology. But I just want to assure people that it's normal. It's normal, and to maybe also take a step back and look at your life and look at um, what are the things that you can control. For example, yeah, for example, that shops are closed, that you are not allowed to meet your friends or going to the gym. This is something that we cannot control, that we have no control of.
Mm,
But there are certain things that we do have control of. For example, um, just being mindful, or to practice mindfulness, for example. So what really helped me was to go out in nature, to reconnect myself with nature, and to calm down and see things from a different perspective, maybe in a positive perspective. For example, I lost my job last year in April, and it was at the beginning hard when someone said to me, "I'm sorry, Pin, we need to let you go because of the pandemic." And then all of a sudden, the anxiety came as well. Oh, I don't have a monthly income. I don't have a routine anymore. So I felt anxiety as well. I felt also a little bit lost um, in, I would say, for 2 3 weeks. But then after that, I gained some perspective and practice mindfulness, going out in nature. And all of a sudden, I looked at it more in a more positive way. Um, and was saying, now I finally have time for the things that I want to do. I have now time to do more self-care. I will have more time to follow my passion. I will have more time to, yeah, to do the things that I like, to do the things that I love. Where when you're always in autopilot mode, you're just functioning.
Mm.
So so this is also what I've experienced. And when I talk to different people here in Hong Kong, they mentioned actually the pandemic, it's a bad thing on the one hand, but on the other hand, they mentioned it really allowed me to see to really allow myself to do the things that I want to do.
Oh
Yeah,
man, absolutely, yeah. And looking at it in a positive, like really spinning it, isn't it? You know, because there's so much negativity
yeah,
surrounding the idea of a lockdown, and I think that along with social media consumption
yeah,
and the media in general, watching the news and just so
yeah,
many, just consuming the news in such a in it's it takes you back, you know, it really takes you
yeah,
back because it's so, a lot of it can be quite negative, and you know,
yeah,
that can,
yeah,
let's be real, that can have an effect on your mental health as well, you know.
exactly.
And really, I think that's a very powerful and self-controlling thing to really spin that and say, I can take a little bit of control here and steer my own journey, you know, even though we have these
Yeah,
circumstances, there's still something I can do. I'm not a complete sitting duck, you know. um
yeah, yeah,
Pin,
yeah.
what kind of effect do you think, just taking it back a second, what kind of
Mm,
effect do you think that a lockdown like this can have on someone's mental health? You know, perhaps someone that has just been
mm,
completely, like their whole life, they've just been geared on business and career, and you know, they've never stopped to think about how they're feeling um, in their mind and body, or to really,
mm,
you know, that self-care you were talking about, maybe they haven't, and this is
yeah,
something I'm guilty of as well, like not completely always making time for self-care of myself, and just thinking I need to work and get this done, get that done, and we'll deal with that later, which has been a big mistake of mine actually. You know, but
yeah, yeah,
you know, a lot of people, that's what they've been doing, you know, because people are very career focused, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now that people
yeah,
are at home a lot more, um now the things are starting to come up in their mind, you know. So they're starting to think about more about their life, and perhaps starting to think about things that you would really not want to think about, negative thought processes and patterns, intrusive thoughts,
yeah,
involuntary thoughts. um
yeah, yeah,
what kind of effect do you think that a lockdown can have on someone's mental health, you know, someone that is now experiencing it for the first time? So just to put it into
yeah,
perspective for them, what could they be feeling? What is this? Is it anxiety?
yeah,
Is it, you know, what do
yeah.
you think?
Mm. I think the corona or the pandemic, the effect on mental health for the majority of people, I would say, is anxiety,
Mm,
having worries
mm,
because of maybe you lost your job, having a disconnection, basically. They feel disconnected, they feel in isolation, for example. So what you mentioned as well, right? When people have to work from home and they don't see their co-workers, where they have their social interaction with people. Everything is now over Zoom. But I would say you can't really compare that with a face-to-face human interaction with someone. Like we human beings, we are social creatures. We need human bonding. We need the connection,
yeah.
the bonding basically. So I think isolation, definitely. This is what I've heard. This is what I've heard the most actually.
Mm,
Um, just in general worries, for example, and the worries of uncertainty. You don't know, okay, when is the lockdown going to end? When can I travel again? When it's going to be normal, like normal again? I feel like now with the coronavirus, I feel like this is the new normal kind of.
Mm,
And I think the uncertainty in general,
mm,
like when it's going to be normal as before, and yeah, not knowing when it's going to be as usual, I would say.
absolutely.
So I would say these are the effects on people's mental health.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you think that it causes a lot of people to kind of look inward and look at their own life and maybe have sort of a negative thought process? Because I remember the last lockdown I had,
Mm-hmm.
the first
Yeah.
lockdown was last March for us, and that
Yeah.
lockdown made me very like, it really made me like kind of look at my internalized feelings, you know, and maybe have a
Mm.
thought process that I really maybe didn't want to have, you know, because I think, and I say this because I think
Yeah.
it was very new, that whole idea of a
Yeah.
lockdown. It was very new. And I remember last year in,
Mm.
it was March, April, May last year. It was hot in the UK. I mean, in London, it was
Yeah.
baking hot, and it felt so unnatural to be in a lockdown, and we never have sun really in the UK. We have it like summer, but it's not, you know,
Oh
but
yeah, I know.
we had some yeah, yeah, you know, you've been to London, you know the struggle is real. But we had this crazy heat wave out of nowhere, and it just felt so unnatural to be inside when usually you'd be out with your friends or in a park somewhere, and just chilling with your friends
Hmm.
and just relaxing, or just, you know, just having, just enjoying the sun and being with friends and family, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know. And it did feel quite unnatural, and just being inside it really just, it took me to kind of like a negative place in my mind, where
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, we were not able to enjoy these kind of naturalistic elements in life, and you know, that creates another thought
Yeah.
process of like, oh well, I'm just not good enough, or you know, it's a cycle of
Mm.
negative thinking, you know, and you'll be surprised what kind of thoughts can lead to another thought, and then another thought, and then another thought. Um,
Mm.
and
The
it really,
chatterbox.
exactly, you say it, you
Yeah.
know. And it really can turn into a bit of a vicious kind of cycle, you know. But then the kind of
Yeah.
natural question is like, well, how do you combat
Yeah.
that? You know, what would be, you know, your advice to someone
Mm.
that is experiencing this? And I really want to focus on, because for me it was very new feelings, like I said, you know, very new feelings, like this is, it's only natural, you know, it's the first time we've been through this
Yeah.
kind of a pandemic like this, you know. So I
Yeah.
guess it could be expected, but like I say, it's not always welcomed. And you know,
Mm.
what do we do in that circumstance? I know you mentioned mindfulness, but what other things
Yeah.
would you say someone should practice or implement to kind of ease this strain on their mental health?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the key ingredient is mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
and connecting to other people.
Mm,
Connecting to other people who are positive though,
mm,
because people who are um, more negative and see only the negative side, it might affect your mental health as well. So I would say
that's
connecting with other ones, connecting to your loved ones,
yeah.
and share your emotions, share your feelings, because sometimes what we need is someone that just listens to us without judging us and be compassionate and kind. um, because this is what I've experienced with, or I know people that were going through mental health issues during the pandemic. They mention, what I just need is someone to listen to me.
Mm,
Like, I have emotions, I have anxieties, I have worries, and I need someone that just listens to me. So I would advise, or I would say, finding that someone, someone that you trust and that you can open up yourself and be vulnerable. I would say that really, really helps.
mm,
And and being mindful, just being mindful in a way that going inward, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's not an everyday thing to do, like asking yourself some very thought-provoking and, I would say, reflective questions. Because sometimes things on from your subconscious mind comes to your conscious mind, and you'll be like, oh yeah, it feels uncomfortable. I better don't want to think about that. But I always say, and this is also what I've learned in life coaching, was it is important actually to go into your awareness, going into your subconscious mind, because this is where you are. This is basically your true self. For example, if you have some anxieties and you do not know, why do I have that anxiety? But asking you very powerful questions leads to the surface, and there's something that you can do about it.
Mm,
So I would say asking yourself very reflective questions
mm,
like, yeah, why am I feeling this emotion? What am I fearful of? What gives me the anxiety? What triggers it? Is there anything that I can do about it?
mm.
So that, and again, nature. I feel like nature is like the healing
Yeah,
number one thing.
don't underestimate nature. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really.
Yeah.
And connecting to your loved ones that you can open up and be vulnerable with.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's so important. I think as well what you said about talking to your friends, and how and being in
Yeah,
a very non-judgmental place. And I've been doing a few podcasts, and I've been a lot. Some people have asked me the question of like, what would you recommend to people? And what I've been doing is, and I'm definitely going to be talking
mm,
about this a lot more because it's just been so
yeah,
effective for me. So what me and my friends have
yeah,
done. What me and my friends have done
yeah,
is one of my friends, Mithu, he came to me and he said, I'm looking to, I think in light of the whole lockdown and everything that was going on,
yeah,
and making sure that, like you say, as friends, we're staying connected, connecting to other people, friends and family. And this guy, my
yeah,
friend Mithu, he came to me and he said, I'm looking to start a support group,
mm,
and it was a couple of us, four of my friends, and fortnightly now. And at first I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, how much is this going to help? I don't know. I'm not sure. But so
yeah.
and then we started it, and then we had our first one 2 weeks ago. We're actually having another one today. And
Okay.
yeah, we got one at 8 p.m. today. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. But we had the first one. We had the first one 2 weeks ago. And what it is, Pin, is we just
Yeah,
get on a Zoom call like this, four of us, and
yeah,
we get out how we feel. How have the last 2 weeks been for us? What emotions have we been feeling? Any anxieties,
yeah,
any depression, or maybe it's positive thoughts. Whatever it
yeah,
is, you just get on that call and you just get it all out. You get it all out. You
yeah,
this is your 20 minutes or whatever. We go around in a circle, 20 minutes each. This is your time to just say exactly how the past 2 weeks have treated you. And then everyone else, the
yeah,
main thing, Pin, is that it's a
yeah,
the atmosphere that we've created, it's a non-judgmental place. There is no judging, so
yeah,
you feel free to just
yeah,
go. And
yeah,
for me,
yeah,
that has been so effective. And to think, I was
yeah,
skeptical at first, like, is it going to be effective? Oh, I'll just do it. And it's really helped me because, like you say, sometimes it is just that talking and that non-judgmental place. So what you said really aligns to
yeah,
that. And I would recommend
yeah,
that to absolutely anyone, because it just, and everyone else, the other people, they can give their thoughts if they want. They can just say, listen, man, I'm here for you. Whatever it is, it's
mm-hmm.
super chill, but don't underestimate just the effect of getting something out, just saying it, making it
Yeah,
real. Because when you
yeah,
make it real, you kind of demystify it in a way, like, oh, that wasn't so bad, I've said it now, that's how I was feeling.
mm,
You don't feel ashamed of your feelings anymore because they're out, someone's heard it.
yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Pin Cher, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I truly appreciate it. This has been
Thanks for
so
the
great,
invite.
so informative. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have you had any worries?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is one of your worries at the moment
Mm-hmm.
with the lockdown? Do you have any worries?
I would say my only worry is not seeing my family and friends in Germany, because normally I would travel. I go back once a year at least once a year, but I haven't seen them for 1.5 years,
Wow.
and that kind of worries me because my parents are getting older, and I just want to see them, and I don't know when I can see them. And I would say that that would be currently my only worry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How about you?
I think one of my worries, Pin, is
Yeah.
feeling like I'm losing a lot of opportunities or losing some of my
Yeah.
kind of like the main years in my 20s, you know, like
Mm.
it was the
Yeah.
coronavirus was basically all of last year, and I couldn't get
Yeah.
out there. And you know, I'm an actor as well, and
Yeah.
auditions were slightly
Yeah. Right
limited.
as
And
well.
you write as well.
Oh no, you're right as
Oh
well,
yes,
right?
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I was like, oh okay.
I write. I only write journaling. This is the only writing I
Oh,
do.
that's I do that as well. I do that as well. It's amazing, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah.
acting and writing. The writing I've been able to it's been great. Because
Yeah.
it's you can write at home and whatnot, but the acting stuff, which is actually my
Yeah.
main source of income, really. The
Yeah.
opportunities of course productions were not able to be the same, and measures had to be
Yeah.
put in place. So maybe the opportunities weren't there at the same time. Um,
Mm.
so that's been a little bit tougher. So
Yeah.
I think one of my main worries is like feeling like, yeah, some of my 20s are kind of just being consumed by coronavirus, like I'm like,
Mm.
oh man, there's so many opportunities I want
Mm.
to take, and then we don't know when this is going to finish. And I feel like I'm being just
Yeah.
set back. I want to get out there and do more things. Pin Cher, obviously you're a life coach. You help people for a living, which is absolutely amazing. How can people get in touch with you? What exactly do you offer? If someone watches this and they're like, I need that person, Pin Cher.
Mm.
Someone,
Yeah.
how can we get in contact with you?
Currently only through Instagram right now. I'm in the process of creating a website and doing a Facebook profile. I do have a profile, but it's not very fine-tuned. So mainly on Instagram right now. I will graduate in like 2 months, and then hopefully it will all be set up. But
Mhm.
currently only through Instagram. And what I'm offering is life coaching. So I call myself like a mindfulness coach. Why mindfulness? Because I strongly believe in mindfulness, that through Zen, peace, peaceful living, having a better inner connection, we gain more clarity and awareness and live our life to our purpose. And that's the reason why being a mindfulness coach. So yeah, this is what I'm
Amazing.
doing.
Pin Cher, we are going to end on this note. Okay, are you ready? All right, I need you to
Yes,
follow this very carefully. Are you ready for this? Do you know what's
yes, I'm
coming?
ready.
You know what's coming?
No.
Good. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so Pin Cher. Okay, I want you to visualize this in your mind, okay?
Hmm.
This is the last thing we're doing. One day, Pin Cher, you wake up, you open your eyes, and you're on a desert island, okay? A desert island. Think of a remote island
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere, okay?
Okay.
And then you wake up and you're like, where am I? And
Hmm.
then so you got the sand. So you start walking. Okay, you're plodding along. Okay, a little bit like how a penguin walks. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're walking. I'll tell you where you're walking. You're walking down that sort of awkward patch. You know where the water hits the sand, and you got the soggy sand. You're walking along there.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
just to set the scene for you. Okay,
yeah.
so you're walking along, and then eventually you're walking, thinking, how did I end up here, right? And then you hit your foot on something, and you go, ah, you hit your foot on
Yeah,
something. It's like a sharp, it's like a sharp pain. You hit your foot on something, and you're like, oh, what was that? And then you pick
yeah,
it up, and it's a lamp. Do you know what you do next when you have this lamp?
yeah. I rub it,
Yes,
right?
perfect, perfect. Yes, rub the lamp, and then poof, a genie appears out of the lamp pin. Can you believe it? Okay, and his name
Yeah.
is Simon Watford. Okay, the genie's name is Simon Watford because that's just his name. That's the name I've given him. There's no other name. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
His name's
okay,
Simon.
Simon.
Simon
Yeah.
Watford. Yeah, Simon Watford. Yeah. And then he says to you, Pin Cher, he says to you, Simon Watford the genie says to you, I've been locked in that lamp for 20,000 years. Okay? He's in a very bad mood.
Yeah.
You know, he's claustrophobic. And he says to you, I'm going to do a very bad thing. Okay?
Mm.
He says, because I've been locked up in that lamp for so long, I'm in a very bad mood. Right? So he says to you, I'm going to take your voice away. Okay? He's going to take your voice.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to take your voice away, Pin Cher, and you can never, ever, ever speak again. You can't say anything. And you're already on a desert island, so you're already in a bad place. And you can't even scream for help. But before he takes your voice away, Pin Cher, he's going to grant you one final wish. Okay?
Oh.
And that final wish, because you let him out the lamp, so he has to do something for you, okay?
Okay.
So he's doing you a favor here. Before he takes your voice away, he's going to allow you to speak some final words, some final, one last sentence or phrase, whatever you want to say, okay? And whatever you say now is going to be echoed across the entire world. Everyone is going to hear what you're about to say. It's going to be translated into every language, every country. Everyone's going to hear it. As many billion people, everyone's going to hear what you're about to say, but is the last thing you can ever say before he takes your voice away from you. So my question
That's
is,
a tough one.
what do you say to the entire world?
Okay. Can I have some thinking moments?
You got a deep that
Okay,
one.
that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Okay.
Pressure makes diamonds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Take all the time you need.
Okay.
No rush.
I think I would tell the genie. Damn, what was his name?
Simon Watford.
Simon.
Yeah.
I probably would say to Genie Simon. So since it's my last wish, I probably would say to him, to tell the world to look at each other, to be compassionate, to be nice to each other, to have each other's back, and to make the world a more compassionate place to live.
Ooh. You heard it here first, people. Pin Cher, compassionate world. We need it. We need it. And that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Pin Cher, thank you so much for coming on Cup of Tea. This has been amazing, informative, educational, fantastic. It's amazing to have someone like you on this show. You have to know that. Thank you very much. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining. See you next time on Cup of Tea. Peace.